Got lumens. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, and today we're taking a look at 3 relatively new light offerings from Olight. Now, rather than just killing you guys with light video after light video, I figured I would throw them all into one video, give a brief overview of each one, how I would use it, some of the features, and the price points. This kind of worked out perfectly because I have 3 very different style lights for different applications. I've got a headlamp, a tactical flashlight, and a light that's a little more EDC friendly. Links for where you can buy these 3 lights will be down in the description below. You can also go there if you want to check out more detailed specs as well as pricing. With all that being said, let's get into it. First, let's start off with the most EDC friendly of the 3 lights that I'm showing you today, the S Mini Baton Titanium. As you can see on the box, this is actually a limited edition run. This is the Rainbow PVD version, and it comes with their 5-year warranty. Pretty slick matte black finish on the box because this is a limited version. And then on the inside, you just have a nice clean display of the light itself. In the top of the box, we have some instructions and also a card stating that this is one of 9,999. Here's the light itself. As you can see, very small, and it also might look pretty similar to this light right here, the S1R Baton. You might have caught the video of this guy, and if you haven't, you might want to check that out because all of these lights operate pretty damn similar to this one. When comparing them side by side, the S Mini Baton is definitely a little bit shorter, however, it's not quite as bright as the S1R. I'm personally not a big fan of the rainbow finish on this. I would choose the black, however, that doesn't really affect the way the light performs. The features on this little guy is very similar to the other light. It's got a deep carry pocket clip with some pretty good retention, a very similar activation switch, and the only thing that's really different is that this one is not rechargeable. If you screw off the tail cap, you will find an O-ring because this thing is waterproof just like the other one, and it runs on a CR123A battery. Not the most common battery in the world. That might bother some of you, it might not. This light has 4 different modes, whereas the other one had 6. This is just moonlight, low, medium, and high. I guess it's time to hit the lights. Much like all Olights, if I press and hold the button, I will get a moonlight mode. That gives me just enough light to read the specs off of the sheet that came with it. This is half a lumen and will supposedly run for about 30 days. If I hold down the switch for a second, it'll bump up to low mode. This is 12 lumens and will run for about 64 hours. Here's what that looks like behind me. Press and hold again for medium mode. This is 60 lumens and should run for about 8.5 hours. As you can see, we're getting much brighter now. And now I'll press and hold one last time for the high mode. This starts at 550 lumens but will eventually dim down to about 300. This will only run for about 1.5 minutes and I can already feel the light heating up, but it's still pretty damn impressive for such a small light like this. So that is the S Mini Baton. If you guys are interested in titanium limited edition collector sort of stuff, this might be the light for you. You can pick this up for about $70 on their site, and if it were up to me, I would probably choose a more standard titanium color rather than the whole rainbow thing. Put this little guy back in a tome and moving on to the next one. So that was the most EDC friendly light out of the 3. Now let's move on to what I think is probably the least EDC friendly, and that is the H1 Wave Headlamp. Now at first when I opened this thing, I was like, what the heck am I going to do with a headlamp like this? I mean, it does look cool. It looks like one of the cooler headlamps that I've ever seen, but what applications am I actually gonna use this for? Luckily for me, they actually have some of the applications on the box that it came in. Right on the side here, you can see it would be good for camping and hiking, riding bike, fixing things, and even running if you're running in a really dark place at night. Now, I personally only use headlamps in 2 different situations. One would be sometimes when I'm camping, and 2 would be whenever I'm working on a car. And I said headlamps in quotes because my idea of a headlamp would be this sort of setup, which you guys might have seen in my last Olight video. What I like about this so much is because this is a light that I always have in my pocket anyway. I'm normally always wearing a hat, so I'll just flip it around forward, boom, headlamp right away. This, on the other hand, is gonna be more dedicated to when you're going into one of those situations. You're going camping, or you know you're going to work on your car, and you wanna have a light on your head. Now in the box on the H16, you will find some instructions like all of the Olights, as well as a charging cable. That means that this thing is rechargeable, and as you can see on the back of it here, the battery is actually on the back of your head. It charges pretty simply with a micro USB, and there's also a button on the side here for a little power indicator. The power is then routed alongside this stretchy reflective headband all the way up to the dual LEDs up front. The strap is obviously adjustable because some people like myself have really huge domes, and it just slips on right like this. Now, don't get me wrong, I know this does look a bit ridiculous. However, it might be pretty practical, especially since you're not going to be really using this thing out in public. You activate the light by simply pressing the center button here, and you are on high mode running at about 500 lumens, and then it'll eventually dim down to about 350. Press the button again and you will go into medium mode running at about 100 lumens, and then one more time will bring you down to about 5 lumens, which is a little more manageable, maybe for like reading a book at night or something. The two lamps are also adjustable, so if I want to angle this down while I am reading at night, you can do that. Now there's also another pretty cool mode on this. If I turn it off with one more press, again onto high mode, and I press and hold it for 2 seconds, you'll see the light just flashed right there. Now what that means is that I'm on the hands-free mode. I simply wave my hand in front of the light and it turns off. Wave in front of it again and it turns back on. Now if I was in the market to buy one of these for myself, I think I would definitely want to have that feature on a headlamp like this. It just makes sense that if you're doing something that requires your hands to be free, you should be able to turn on the light and turn off the light without using your hands. Some places where I might use this would definitely be camping. It's nice to have a light on your head rather than pulling a light out of your pocket all night. As well as working underneath the car, say you're holding something in place, you simply wave your hand in front of it and you got light instantly. Another way I might use this light, as they show it on the box, this is for biking. Well, I would probably use it for skateboarding at night. I said in the S1R Baton video that I really get the most use out of this thing at night when I'm skating around town. Now if I walk out the door right now, am I saying that I'm going to take the headlamp over this light? Probably not, because I don't really want to look like this in public. It's just a little bit goofy for me, but to each his own. When the light is in the hand activation mode, you will see the button actually lights up blue. This is indicating that the hands-free mode is currently activated. To turn the mode off again, you simply press and hold the button one more time, the light will blink, and now it'll be back into its regular mode. On this side, the lens is kind of dimpled, which will give you more of a soft floodlight type of effect, whereas the right side is smooth like a normal light, which will give you that beam that reaches out to about 100 meters. Throw this puppy back on again and hit the lights. Here we have high mode. This is gonna light up pretty much any area, no matter the size. Again, this is 500 lumens. Down to medium, which is 100 lumens, and then all the way down to low, which is only 5 lumens. So pretty cool concept, but I don't think this is gonna stray me away from carrying a dedicated pocket light pretty much every single day. This thing also comes in at a pretty decent price point, only $60. So much like the Baton series and every other Olight that I've seen, everything is pretty fairly priced. But again, that is just my opinion. Now moving on to why you're probably on this video in the first place. Now enter the M2T Warrior Tactical Flashlight. Out of all the lights, this is definitely the one that I'm most excited about. I've owned a tactical flashlight in the past, but it was much smaller than this and not really bright. This light is based off of the M2R model that you may have seen in the past. Dual switch operated, and it can be powered by one 18650 battery or two CR123A batteries. There's some really nice machining around the whole thing. It feels really good in my hand. And this has what I was missing with the S1R, the Clicky Tail Cat. So for operation, I'll just start off with the side switch here. This thing operates pretty much exactly like this little light. Press and hold for moonlight mode, that'll give you 1 lumen. You guys can probably barely even see that with the lights on. Press and hold again for low, which is 15 lumens. Again for 60, and one more time for high, which is 400 lumens. Now where this light really shines, pun not intended, is the Clicky Tail Cat. This is actually a 3-in-1 tail cap, so what that means is I can press it down lightly for temporary on. I can press it down a little harder so it clicks, that way the light stays on in turbo mode. And now if I press it down past where it clicks and hold it, it'll turn into strobe mode. Unscrewing the tail cap, you'll find an O-ring again. This thing is IPX8 rated. And then on the inside, this light came with two CR123A batteries. Now because the light is using these batteries as opposed to an 18650, the turbo mode is going to be a little bit lower. The tail cap will always take you right into turbo mode, and with these batteries this is running at about 900 lumens and it'll eventually dim down to 600. Whereas if I was running a bigger 18650 battery, this thing would actually put out 1200 lumens. That is a lot of light coming out of one little pocketable flashlight. Now I don't really want to get into the long speech of what makes this a tactical flashlight, other than the fact that there is a little bit of knurling around the rim. When holding this in your hand, even if you have relatively large hands, you still got the bezel sticking out there, so you could use this as something like a striker. But also with the Clicky Tail Cap, if you are carrying a firearm for self-defense, this is definitely the style of light that you want to have, and it's going to give you the best advantage in a tactical tactical situation. I've kind of shied away from carrying weapon mounted lights on my EDC guns, however I always have a flashlight in my pocket. Speaking of that, this thing has actually found its way into my pocket way more than I originally thought it was going to. Keep in mind I've been carrying this light for the past couple of months. There's a huge size difference here in weight, length, and thickness. And they both put out relatively the same amount of output when this thing is in its Turbo S mode. So basically for the past week or so, instead of leaving the house with this little light, I was putting this thing in my pocket. The clip is removable and reversible. You can flip it around the other way, and it does have pretty good retention. It came with the clip installed the other way, but I flipped it around that way. It can be like a deep pocket carry clip. Today I'm simply wearing jeans and a t-shirt pretty much like every day. Take the light, slip it all the way inside the left side of my pocket. Keep in mind I also carry my wallet in the front pocket, and as you can see, it's not that noticeable. When I first put this thing in my pocket for testing purposes, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to carry this all day without getting annoyed. If I need to get my wallet out, if I wanna put my hands in my pocket, I'll just notice that it's there, sitting in my car, bumping up against things. It just seems like a huge piece of metal to be hanging in my pocket. However, after about the second or third day of me carrying this, it almost felt like normal. I would go almost the whole day walking around like normal and not even really notice that it's in there. Occasionally, if I'm sitting at my desk or driving, I'll put my hand down by my side and be like, holy shit, there's a huge flashlight in my pocket. So what I'm saying is normally I would not carry something this size, but after doing it just for testing purposes, I'm actually pretty surprised by how unnoticed this thing went in my pocket for so long. Now when I see other people's EDC loadouts and I see that they're carrying a big flashlight like this, I kind of understand it now. In the past I just thought it was a little bit ridiculous, but I get it. Let's hit the light test real quick. Boom, here we have moonlight mode, low mode, medium, high, and then turbo. Get ready for the strobe. A couple other things to note: if you're worried about activating this light in your pocket, it also has a lockout feature. You simply press and hold this, it'll turn into moonlight mode and then turn off. Now, tail switch not working. You'll see on the side switch here that if I press the tail cap or the switch itself, it lights up red, letting you know that it's in lockout mode. Simply press and hold it again, it'll turn into moonlight mode, and now it's back to normal. That feature works the same with the S1R and the regular Baton as well. The M2T Warrior also comes with a little sheath, little Velcro attachment on the back to put on some MOLLE webbing, and also a lanyard on the inside because there is a lanyard hole. This is what the light looks like in the sheath. I'll probably never use this thing, but this thing might actually find its way into my pocket from time to time. This light also comes with a 5-year warranty and a price tag at only about 70 bucks. So if you're looking for, in my opinion, what I would consider a decently priced, high quality tactical flashlight, the M2T Warrior might be the way you want to go. Now I know I went over these 3 lights pretty quickly because I don't want to bore you to death with specs. So if you have any questions about any of these lights, feel free to leave them in the comments down below and I'll answer them as best as possible. Thanks to Olights for sending these lights out for me to show everyone, and thank you guys for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider clicking subscribe because I make new videos every week, and that is going to be all for today. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.